Hello, everybody, and welcome to the LFC Transfer Room live stream with myself, Dan, Aaron, and Mihai. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us following possibly one of the most thrilling games of the year so far. We didn't think Fulham would do it to us, but yet here we are. That has possibly aged me about 20 years, and I'm definitely going to die 10 years younger because of this football team. But here we are. It's what we do. It's what we love. And sure, look, I'll die a happy man. That's the way that I look at it. Make sure to like and subscribe before we continue. We're going to try and hit our 10k subscribers before the next transfer window. Make sure all of your notifications are on for all future streams and videos so that you never miss out. But without further ado, we will get into it. And what seemed like Puskas Central for all of the goals that went in today from Liverpool side of things anyway. Dan, a couple of your thoughts on the game. Give me a quick overview of it, and I'll go through everybody else for a quick overview of things as well.
Oh, mate. I started the first part of that match thinking, got this in the bag. This is going to be no bother. The goal's just going to come. We're going to get one. It came. And that's it. We're going to get two. And it's just going to be a straightforward mill run of the game. Conceded a sloppy goal. And then after that, no, it's fine. And then it just seemed to peter away. And I genuinely thought in that second half, we could play for the next 10 hours, never mind the next 10 minutes and score a goal. Because we just didn't look like we were going to do it. But somehow, as you just mentioned, it was like a highlight reel off YouTube. Some of the best goals that, this season, and they all came within about 90 minutes of one match. Yeah, well worth a rewatch, to be honest, because my emotions were all over the place. But so pleased, so pleased to get a win there. Huge, for us going forward. 11 wins on the bounce at Anfield. Couldn't be happier. But yeah, don't need any more games like that this season. Thanks very much.
I could do with every game like that this season as long as it ends up with the same result of us getting 3 points, to be honest with you. That's the only thing that I'm worried about at the end of the day. Aaron, give me a couple of your thoughts about the game as a whole. How, again, it just seems to be the way with us as it is that we don't seem to do things easily. But as somebody mentioned in the group chat before the game finished, we've gotten the monster mentality back in that it's a never say die. What do you think?
Yeah, I think especially in that second half, it was a bit worrying at times seeing the kind of, not the attitude, but the players looked tired and it was a bit slow. We were kind of going, is this game just going to, like Dan said, peter out into what was looking like a draw, and then they got the third goal and it was like, Jesus, we're really going to lose here at Anfield. But look, when the performance level isn't up to standard, you hope that the individual quality you have will pull you through, and that's the advantage of having superb players in your team. They can pop up with those moments, and Trent again, amazing goal. Endo, I don't think anyone expected that, but yeah, I think overall performance, it's not the level that we would have hoped going in, but again, the mentality and the quality just pulls you through, and that's what you need in those games, because those games are going to happen over the course of the season. You're going to get a couple of those, and if you can come out the other end with the 3 points because of the quality you have, then more times than not, you're going to be very happy. So, yeah, on the moon at the moment.
Yeah, it's at the end of the day, realistically, nobody's going to care at the end of the season if you're lifting a trophy how you won. They're only going to care if you won, regardless of how you won. As long as you keep winning, you don't necessarily really care about it. Mihai, you mentioned before the stream that you had your hair falling out. I'm shocked you're not bald already from this game, but I tell you this much. I'm going to very much be old and grey by the end of this season if this kind of form continues up. If the results keep going, I'll be happy, and I'll be a very happy old and grey looking man. But at this rate, this is good. This is going to kill me 10 years sooner. At this rate, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm glad I started to work out again in the last few weeks, because otherwise my heart wouldn't have taken this. It was just. Yeah, horrifying. I don't know. I kept thinking, at 2-2, just we were looking flat. I was thinking maybe keep going somehow. Something happens, when I saw Salah missing that sitter, I thought, yeah, this is it. We're not going to score. And then out of fucking nowhere, like, I'm sorry, I'm not native in English, so I'm going to drop quite a few F-bombs because I can't contain myself right now. But
it's okay. It's not my first language either, so it's fine. Like,
I'm just glad we won, to be honest. I thought when I saw those the second goal or the third one for Fulham go in, I was just thinking there's no way. But yeah, I don't think what I wanted to say before we go into it. I don't think Kelleher was that bad today. I know I saw quite a few people on Twitter and on a lot of other platforms, say quite a few things about it. I just think, it's the whole defense basically. Just we're pretty shit, but got the 3 points, and hopefully we now have a pretty full December. So hopefully we don't keep up this kind of form.
Yeah, it's. You can call it bias from both myself and Aaron's standpoint, considering the fact that we're Irish. I understand that, but having played as a goalkeeper, and I'm not saying that I am in any way comparable to Kelleher in any way, shape, or form. He is a professional goalkeeper for Liverpool, one of the biggest teams in the world. I am nowhere near night and day, anywhere near him in terms of skill level. But when you play in goal and you understand those situations, even at a minor level and an amateur level, you know positioning and you know when situations go to shit. The first goal, not Kelleher's fault in any way, shape, or form. Purely because that there was 3 defenders that really could have put a foot out, and Harry Wilson just split Trent and McAllister, and the shot that came from Harry Wilson was less than a second between him hitting it and it hitting the back of the net. Kelleher even got a foot to it, just wasn't quick enough. I genuinely think that you need to be in that situation. You need to be incredibly lucky as a goalkeeper to have your foot just in the right spot at the right time. And could he have done better and maybe positioned himself a little bit better? Of course, but the 3 defenders could also have stuck a foot out and not allowed the ball to go across the goal. The cardinal rule that you have as a footballer, especially a defender, is you do not let the ball go across your goal. That's it. It's the cardinal rule. You don't let it do it. You don't do it. El Hero, I would agree with you on this one. I just moved the comment. Apologies. I'd agree with you on this for the second goal. It was a lack of sharpness and a lack of awareness on the second goal, where a second deflection then put it in when he seemed to be diving for it the first way, but thought it was going to his right when it was then dinked to his left. Nothing that could be done about that, just poor positioning, unfortunately. That's my opinion on that. And then the third goal, Van Dijk and Tsimikas just had a pair of balls resting on their shoulder from the I can't remember the name of the striker that put it in, but that's it. Yeah, really. It's just that was that. But at the end, like, we can focus on the negatives and we can focus on the positives, but at the end of the day, we ended up with 3 points. I understand we do need to focus on some negatives because we shouldn't be letting 3 goals in to Fulham. At the end of the day, they're a lower tier side, and we should have beaten them 4-0 to begin with, rather than having to rely on 3 wonder goals and then a Trent Alexander-Arnold winner. But that's my 2 cents on the issue, and that's not me being biased, because 2 weeks ago, and I have receipts, 2 weeks ago I called for Kelleher to be sold purely because of his poor performances, and he played well against Lask, and I thought that confidence would still into this game, but I'm not going to call out a keeper for a bad decision unless they've made a bad decision. That's just my opinion on that. But we'll move on to some positives, hopefully. But we'll start with the first goal, realistically. And unfortunately, it was an own goal. It wasn't even given as Trent's goal because it came back off the crossbar, hit Leno in the back, and then went in. Mihai, did you even expect that to happen with Trent just pinning it in? Because normally that kind of a free kick suits a left footer, not a right footer, and he put it in to the keeper's technically strong side over the wall and dipped perfectly, and it was almost as if it was storybook, realistically. I'm very annoyed that Salah didn't get his 200th goal, but I'm happy as well because I didn't captain him in FPL. But there's that too. Give me a couple of your thoughts on the first goal. What did you have on all of the goals? Actually, did you have a favorite of all of the goals, or was it just purely like I'd have McAllister's as mine? But give me a couple of your thoughts on all of the goals that we had so far.
Yeah, what I'd like to say is I'd like to throw my hands up and say I was typing in the group chat right before the free kick. I was thinking, why is not Szoboszlai taking this? Like, I'm thinking he could take it better than Trent, and then I just see that, and I'm like, glad I didn't hit send. Yeah. I don't know. It's Trent. I think he didn't do that for a while, though, right? Like, I don't remember him scoring a free kick that recently. So I was thinking,
last one was Leicester when he was making fun of James Maddison for relegating Leicester.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. yeah, bit of a shame he didn't, get the goal in the end, but it is what it is. My favorite one, I think, obviously, McAllister's probably could end up being the goal of the season for us, but I would take Endo's goal just because of the momentum. When he came on, I think he did great. And we can give him a bit of praise for that. I think he did quite well after he came on, and kind of changed the game from there on, because, we got the goal, Anfield just blew up, and then, yeah, it was all over like a minute later. So, yeah, still trying to catch my breath. So, yeah, I don't know. I think I'll take Endo's goal just because of what happened afterwards.
Yeah, it's realistically it. And I'm after putting something in the group chat. Everybody can have a look at it themselves, but I'm going to read it out. As of minute 86 and 25 seconds, it was 3-2 to Fulham. As of minute 87, 46 seconds, it was 4-3 to Liverpool. We really don't make it easy for ourselves, do we? But before I go on to Dan and Aaron's thoughts on the goals, I just want to say thank you to Jen so much. Again, funding the transfer window for January with your £9.99 is very much appreciated. It all goes back towards the channel and making more content for you guys, so we very much do appreciate it. Jen, as always, the stalwart in donating to the channel, we very much appreciate it, and thank you so much. But yeah, that's just it's beautiful. James mentions here, what did he just watch? Wow, yeah. Aaron, I'll turn over to yourself. As I mentioned, in the space of a minute and 21 seconds, we scored 2 goals to give us the lead. Was there a particular favourite of yours? I mentioned McAllister's goal. Was there anyone from yours that was the favourite?
Yeah, probably has to be McAllister, just for the quality of the goal. But I think that kind of shows why we need an actual 6, because McAllister needs to be in them positions more. I don't think we've seen enough of that this season, and it's not necessarily his fault. He's playing a different role, but I think we do need more of that, because he can do that, and he can play those nice little passing around the box, and he has a strike like that in him. So it was good to see that, because I don't think we've seen enough of it, just purely down to the system. But yeah, look, 4 unbelievable goals, and like you said, what was it, a minute and a half from 3-2 to 4-3. I think I've seen a few people in the group chat scrolling up to delete some messages, I think, talking about title race over and things like that. But I think that's why we shouldn't get too reactionary in December, positive or negatively. Today we got the 3 points, we're all buzzing. Just keep in touch, keep the games ticking over. 3 points here, 3 points hopefully on Wednesday. Keep going, and if we get to March, April, and we're still in with a shout, then we're all for a title race then. But yeah, I think we just have to be happy with where we are now. Look at the start we're having to the season. I don't think anyone expected us to be up there with City and Arsenal now. Especially, I think internally in the club, I think they would have been happy with, us kind of being 4th, maybe the best of the rest, and pushing on to a Champions League spot. So the fact that we're right up there, and we're keeping up with the best in the league, and in the games that we have played, the quality teams haven't looked out of place or out of our depth. I think we're in a great position now, and we have a busy period coming up, so games are going to come thick and fast.
Yeah, it's like our next game now is on Wednesday, and then after that it's the following Sunday, I believe. I think that's the way it's going. We have 3 games, and then we have Manchester United on the 17th. Games are going to be coming thick and fast. We also have Arsenal and Newcastle by the time New Year's rolls around. So we have a lot of good games that we could gain a lot of points as it is at the moment. I have the City game on in the background here behind me. Not behind me, but in front of me. Still 0-0 at the moment, 2nd minute into the game. So technically, as it stands, we are currently still 2nd in the league. But we're not going to jinx anything just yet. But Mihai, Dan, I spoke to Mihai already. Dan, your favourite of the goals, was it again McAllister's? Would you be in much in agreement with the other 2 lads?
And what I was going to say is the sales of Adidas Predator boots have just gone through the roof, haven't they? Since he got rid of those Under Armour ones, which clearly weren't doing it for him when it came to scoring goals, he's now got on the Adidas ones, and the goals are coming thick and fast. That's 2 in 2 games. I don't think Trent's ever done that before. I don't think he's ever scored 2 goals in 2 matches consecutively. Talking about the free kick, is what Mihai was just said, is that genuinely he seems to score one memorable free kick that you can kind of remember a season. and that was real top draw. Like, I know he's come back in off the goalkeeper, but wow, like that was unbelievable. Really got me off my seats with what he took there. And I was in agreement. I think, Szoboszlai is an absolute free kick monster for Hungary, and he has been for Leipzig when he played there. And he hasn't had a chance yet, and I don't think he's going to have a chance anytime soon after the way we're taking free kicks at the moment. Absolutely sublime free kick. Really opened them up. McAllister's one, technically absolutely brilliant. Like the ways that he's just taken that, it's pinpoint. There's no stopping that one. Wonderful, wonderful goal. Talking about Endo, do you know people say, oh, no one expected Endo to score? Funnily enough, I knew zero about Endo when he came to the club, but when I had a look on his statistics, one thing that stood out was actually he liked a goal. For a 6, he was actually someone who could score goals. He scored 6 last season for a very poor Stuttgart. So if he can put 5 more in this season, I'd really appreciate it, because if he can take them that well, earlier on in the game, about maybe 5 minutes beforehand, he had a shot which got deflected and went wide and went for a corner. So he's got that in his locker, and he's not frightened to take a shot. So, yeah, really important goal as well, because as Mihai said, it was the momentum. Like, it had changed. We've gone from losing a match to drawing a game. The crowd went straight up. The belief came around. And then, of course, Trent's just, Kostas is battling for the ball. He wins that ball, drops down, and Trent's just been able to have that composure, knowing that this could be our last good chance of the game, which it had to be anyway. And he's put it in exactly where it needed to go, and we scored that goal. For me, my favourite, of course, was the McAllister one, because it's probably going to be our goal of the season. I can't see us scoring a better one than that. Yeah, absolutely full of top draw goals. We've got a month's worth of goal of the month contenders in one game.
Yeah, easily. To be honest, my favourite was Endo's. I understand McAllister's one, but I guess it's just more. I think it was how against the run of play Endo's came. I say against the run of play. It came out of nowhere. It's just all of a sudden the ball was at his feet. He was outside the box. The next thing it's in the top in. Yeah. And I'm like, where did you pull that? We could have used that earlier on in the game. Like, it was beautiful. It was absolutely.
It takes a lot. That really, it takes a lot, because if he sticks that in row Z, he's in trouble, isn't he? He's going to be hearing Jurgen Klopp screaming and shouting. He had that bravery to say, you know what, I'm confident enough that I can hit the target here. And at the end of the day, it's, if you don't take them chances, you don't score, do you? So, sometimes you've got to take a risk.
There's been
one
an
of those
update.
first, by the way, yeah.
Yeah, there's been an update. That's absolutely beautiful for Liverpool, considering. I'd like this to end 3-2 and Haaland to score 2 goals, please. What a goal. I just haven't seen it there. That's a fantastic goal for Tottenham, because that's going to help them massively. That's going to be beautiful. That'll keep us second. And I wanted to discuss this comment of this lovely Londoner fan in here. We're still top. You are, but Arsenal at the top of the league is like an elephant on the top of a tree. Nobody knows how it got there, but it's going to fall eventually.
The only thing I'll say to him is I don't think you've got the bottle. Your team doesn't. Your manager, you don't have the mentality to do this. Yep. It's as simple as that. The reason you're not
the league for 8 months last season, and then all of a sudden it all went to shit, and you had a 9-point lead. So
yeah. And Anfield coming up again soon. We know what happens when you come to us. Your heads will
make
fall
sure
off.
You're playing. You'll never walk alone on the training ground again. Yeah. Good lad.
Bring your dog. Bring Win. Bring the dog down. He can come and watch us lose as well, like you do every season. Anyway, good luck to you. Anyway.
That's the way that I look at it. Look, Arsenal are top of the league, and they have every right to be so. They've played their games, we've played ours, but we'll come back to that comment in May when we're all finished up and see where everybody is. But realistically, it was a fantastic game, and I absolutely love that game. I love shit like that. It's just edge of your seat, throwing the phone away after going 3-2 down, and then within the space of a minute and a half, all of a sudden being 4-3 up. I think somebody put in the comments that Istanbul doesn't have shit on this, and it's like, maybe a little bit of an exaggeration, but I understand where they're coming from when they mention that.
I love it when it's finished.
Yeah.
When it's over, I love it. When I'm living in it, no, I'm not enjoying a second of that.
Paul, you ruined my day. Was it Haaland? Please tell me it was Haaland, because I'm a little bit behind on time. Because if it was Haaland, I'll absolutely love you forever, because I have him captained on FPL. I don't mind a draw by them either, but that's just the way that I look at it. But yeah, I'm looking at the free kick here now. It's about to be taken. It's hard. It's hardly. It's
Hero
hardly an own
zero.
goal by someone. Who got it? No. Oh, it is an all! Oh my god!
Son, both ends.
And welcome to the Man City Tottenham live watch along with Liverpool fans.
Oh, this is beautiful. This is hilarious and this is beautiful. Welcome to Spurs being Spurs.
This is it. We want everyone to lose on this channel.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. Like, look, yeah, oh, that's hilarious. And anybody that has him in FPL now is going to get points down for the own goal too.
It's the history of the Tottenham.
Oh, it is the spirit of Tottenham. Is that at home or is that in the empty head? Is that in the empty head? Yeah. Oh, he just sticks out a knee and it goes flying past him. Oh, that's brilliant.
Good finish.
Yeah, so Son has got 2 goals, one at either end because he thought he'd be great. But we'll get back onto our own game because that game is going to be on for a while yet, and we have plenty of time to laugh at Spurs and laugh at City. But Mihai, I'll come to yourself first, and I'll get your player of the match and your shite of the match, if we want to call it that, and who you'd have as the player of the match, who you'd have as probably the worst performer in that match. Anybody, fair game. I won't go at you if you say Kelleher, don't worry.
Nah, I can't say Kelleher. Wow, player of the match. I don't know. I think I'm gonna go Trent just because he was always there. You know, when you needed him, basically with the first goal and then at the end. Worst player of the match. I don't know. I don't like throwing players under the bus. I was just gonna. I'm just thinking maybe Diaz was a bit quiet today and didn't really do much. I could say Darwin as well. I think I've defended Nunez for a while, but today I think what kind of pissed me off now was that it's starting to, like, you know, it cost us points against Luton, sorry. And today again, I wish I would see. I mean, obviously he's improved a lot since last season. You know, you can see it. He's been more involved in goals and in scoring and assisting and stuff like that. But I wish that we could rely on him more when he gets the ball in front of goal. You know, he hit the bar. I think that was unlucky, fair. But then again, 2 minutes later, he kind of didn't even hit the ball when he was 1-on-1 versus Leno. His work rate is great. His, you know, firing up the crowd. He's involved. His pressing. His link-up play with Salah. You know, he's doing a lot of great things. But I feel like at some point he needs to start putting away more chances than what he misses. So I was just gonna, you know, I think he got lucky today a bit that we kind of turned it around, because otherwise it would have been a bit, you know, it wouldn't have been people wouldn't have been kind to him online.
Yeah, I'd agree with you that Trent was probably the man of the match. He did control everything. Then when he moved into midfield, he was otherworldly. He was absolutely fantastic in midfield. And I think that may end up being where he stays now with Gomez as right back, and then you have our two centre backs and Costas the far side. I see a lot of slander for Costas in the comments here as well. I didn't think he was that bad. I think he made one major mistake that cost the goal, and that was it. I thought Costas had a great game outside of defensively anyway, outside of getting jumped over from behind, which is always hard to do when you're a fullback and you're only 5'10", like, or even shorter. It's hard enough to do as it is, but I wouldn't call Costas the worst. Jamie, was this the Andre Derby today? It may very well have been. But Aaron, I'll come to yourself and ask you for the same question as Mihai. Player of the game and shite of the game, if we'll give it that christening. What do you think?
I think it's hard to kind of, other than Trent, I don't think anyone really stood out as having an amazing game. You know, I think Van Dijk, particularly second half, you know, done well to kind of keep it at 3 goals for sometimes. He put in some great tackles, kind of getting his leg around players and stuff like that. But I think it has to be Trent, especially, you know, with the free kick and then the goal at the end. Like, I don't think anyone else really stood out. I think Darwin actually off the ball had a good game, but again, the couple of finishes lets him down. I think Salah was particularly poor today. Actually, he had one of those games where he was very quiet. His touch was just that. He didn't do anything terrible, but everything was just a little bit slow, and his touch was, you know, a yard off. His passing wasn't great. Yeah, I don't think anybody had a standout howler performance. It was just slightly below the level for all across the board, really. You know, the midfield, Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, they were just a little bit, below level. I don't think anyone had an absolutely horrendous game where it's going to be telling we need to be, need to be dropped immediately. But yeah, it is what it is. We got the 3 points. The players pulled us through, so I don't think we should harp on anybody's bad performance too much, really.
Yeah, and for anybody watching the Spurs game, Haaland just missed an absolute sitter. So
Sorry,
everybody keep the same energy that you keep for Núñez. I just absolute missed a sitter. Anybody that's not watching it, the ball was played back across over the goal. Cardinal rule: you don't let the ball go back across your own goal. Fucking irritates my bollocks. City got it back on inside their own box and played it across, and Haaland had a wide open goal and just spits it wide. So everybody keep that same energy that you keep with Núñez, and same with Salah. Salah missed the same goal that Núñez missed against Luton that cost us points there, and now nobody said anything because we won the game today. So everybody keep the same energy with them. But Dan, I'll come to yourself. Player of the match and shite of the match. Who would you give the award to on either end of the spectrum?
Yeah, I mean, it awards itself on who was the player of the match for us, with being Trent. I mean, completely influential. If it wasn't for the fact Van Dijk's on the pitch, he's a captain's performance. It's a vice captain's performance. He was, he really took the game under his own self. Started basically scored the first goal. I'm giving it to him. I don't care what the stats say. And then, of course, scores that winner for us. And the way he played the ball, he was always looking to try and do something with it. So for him, Van Dijk was fantastic as well. To be fair to him, he was winning a lot of the headers, aerial duels, and stuff like that, and the balls that he was playing were fantastic. I don't think Kostas had a bad game. I don't agree with that in the slightest. I just think, unfortunately, he did get caught out for that third goal, but on the whole, the performance was absolutely fine for what I expect from him. Going forward, like, Diaz was probably the quietest of ours. In the first half, he looked really, really lively. In the first 15, 20 minutes, I thought, oh yeah, he's going to be on for one of those games. He's really starting to take it on like he did against Lask. But he didn't quite. He just kind of petered out as the game went on, unfortunately. And yeah, Salah's had probably what I can describe as a Salah game for the last couple of matches, where he seems to have got an assist or a goal, but he's not had a great performance. And again, this was another one of those games where, to be honest, his performance wasn't outstanding. Núñez, I thought, was brilliant. I know he didn't score, and I do appreciate that he didn't do. However, what he is doing is a lot of influential stuff in the build-up to the goals that we did score. He's winning headers. He's playing the sensible pass. And then he's kind of doing that key pass before the assist. I'm not going into other pre-assists, but that's what he was doing. And watching those bits, that's what impressed me. Is that even though his name wasn't on the score sheet tonight, he was very. I mean, the fact that he wasn't hooked, it is testament to how well he's doing. If Klopp wasn't happy with what he was seeing, then he would have taken him off. No issues about that.
Like, he already brought Gakpo on. He could have very easily brought Gakpo on to replace him.
Yeah, exactly. Gakpo was
there. Had Harvey Elliott and Curtis Jones on the bench to come in midfield if you wanted to put Gakpo up front. So, I don't think people appreciate the fact of the pressing as much as Klopp does, because Núñez was all over that front three. Fair enough, he missed one chance and then he missed a little bit of a sitter prior to that, and I understand that. But at the same time, again, Salah missed possibly the biggest sitter of the game, and nobody says a word about it because we won. But in the game against Luton, where Salah could have also scored in that game, but headed it back to Núñez, who skied it over the bar. Everybody talks about it because we could have won the game on that, but realistically,
the chance that Núñez actually missed when he hit the crossbar with that breakaway chance we had, it was the fact that Darwin's ability was the one that he created that opportunity for himself. The fact that he's so fast, many players wouldn't have been able to get up that pitch as quick as he did. And he's hit the bar. On another day, he goes in. It's happened. He's creating chances of his own making. And unfortunately, sometimes they're not going in. But he's not a Haaland. He's not a robot, and he never will be. But what he is,
we just seen 10 minutes ago that robots miss as well. So
exactly, and it's just unfortunate he comes under this, and he's taking it really well for a young guy. He's only 23, and last season all he was doing was getting pelters, and somehow he's been able to mentally take that really well. And he's out there, he's performing fine for me. Yeah, I'm more than happy. Yeah. He's had some poor games, but today wasn't one of them. And I'll go on to the shite one. Just I'll get my boxing gloves on ready for you, Stephen. Kelleher wasn't. He was our worst player, and I just put. It's not that I'm saying he's bad, and that's not. He just had a bad game, and
No, I
today
agree
was.
with that.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and what I won't do is kind of like it's that kind of whataboutery where a lot of people will go, well, they should have done something. So no, what I'll say is that he needs to do more. I know that he doesn't get enough games, and that's because he's got Alisson in front of him, and that's to be expected. But when this opportunity presents itself, I just don't feel that he pursues the confidence that you would have hoped that he would have been able to gather from training with one of the best goalkeepers, in the world, probably our best goalkeeper that we've ever had. And you'd have hoped that a lot of that kind of sense of off the ball, that commanding of a pitch. I know he's a very quiet man. He looks like a guy of few words, to be totally honest. But I just wanted at times him to be a little bit more vocal, a little bit, and it would protrude a bit more confidence. He doesn't make me feel confident. And it showed he didn't look like a confident goalkeeper in those two situations. And it is what it is. We got away. What we do is we put it in a box and we forget about it because the only game that matters is the next one. And when we come up and play against Sheffield United, as long as we don't see that as a continuing theme, because he was brilliant against Lask. As much as he didn't have to do a lot, he was really good. Against Toulouse, like you said, Stephen, pack him in a box and send him off. Give Pitaluga a chance because that's not what we need here. And I was really disappointed. So today, unfortunately, he was, but that is what it is. That's just that. It's one of those days. He didn't have a great game, but we move on, and ultimately we need to trust him for the next 3-4 matches. Hopefully, not too many. And Alisson comes back in, and that's what has to happen.
Yeah, that's and it is that he had a bad game, and every keeper is allowed a bad game. The problem is that as Aaron pointed out in the group chat earlier, is that he's the last line of defense, and any goals that go in are ultimately his fault, which isn't true because you need to look at everything as a whole and look at everything from a contextual point of view, because otherwise, what's the fucking point, realistically? Something I'm going to question to everybody now, and I want to put this in the chat as well, because I seen somebody mention it earlier. The Trent's performance today, and Aaron, I'll come to you first on this. Trent's performance today reminded me of a Stevie G performance. We shouldn't have won that game. We shouldn't have been anywhere near winning that game based on performance. But he steps up, pings 2 in, and wins us the game and dragged us through it. Now, I'm saying Steven Gerrard-esque. I'm not saying he is him. So let's get that clarification off there. But it reminded me of the times when Steven Gerrard would drag this team that was underperforming or wasn't good enough to perform in that level and push them to another gear, which I felt Trent very much did that in the first half, and then even to a bigger extent did in the second half. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it has those similarities, especially, being a Scouse lad and dragging us through that game. I think where Trent excels is he doesn't mind taking that responsibility of, he'll take the ball in around the box, he'll have a shot, he'll play that risky pass, you know what I mean? He wants, if that game's 3-3 going into the last few minutes, he's one of the few players probably that you would think he's going to try and win this game in the sense of, he will always, he's not going to protect a draw for a point. He wants to take that shot like he did and eventually scored the goal for us. I think just by the nature of where he plays, it's hard to compare him to Stevie, because Stevie has so many games where, he, with a much worse team, especially, that he dragged us through. But yeah, I see the sentiment in the sense of he stepped up and it was like a captain-like performance. And one thing I have noticed since he got the vice-captaincy from Klopp, I think people unfairly last season were questioning his attitude and kind of the way he would, walk around the pitch sometimes, and like his body language and stuff. I don't think there's been any of that this season. I don't think that's even been a question. I thought it was nonsense anyway, but he hasn't even given people the opportunity to throw that criticism at him. I noticed especially in the Toulouse game at home where Van Dijk didn't play, how vocal he was on the pitch, and he's, for a young lad, and he's screaming at, even when Endo was playing, telling everybody where to be and stuff like that. And that's, an area of his game that I really didn't see him developing, to be honest. Up until this season, all these shouts about him being captain, I wasn't convinced just by the nature of the type of person he is. I wasn't sure if he had that leadership in him, but he's really kicked on this year in that sense. And then the quality he has on the ball to score goals like that, we know that's there, and he's the best in the world at that. Playing those passes, the lot like switch balls and everything like that, and then he has a finish like that in his locker. He's the only right back in the world that can probably do that. So, look, we're blessed to have him. I think the criticism that he gets is ridiculous. He's probably the best right back in the world, and he probably could end up going down as Liverpool's best right back ever. Like, it's just that's the type of talent we have. So I think we just have to enjoy it and hope Real Madrid don't come knocking at some stage.
I don't even think he'd go, to be honest with you.
You'd like to think so.
No, I to be honest with you, I think he's the untouchable on this squad. Similarly to how the conversation was had in the group chat about a day or two ago about us pursuing Saka. Saka is the untouchable in the Arsenal squad. It's just the way that it is.
I actually thought we should have went for him, I'd say 2 seasons ago, when Arsenal were still kind of, you could just see a little bit of Arteta's idea coming in, but they were leaking a lot of goals, and he was stalling on the contract for a while. And I thought,
like, would he have become the same player he is now, considering Salah would have been 27, 28?
Yeah. I think that's the only reason that we didn't go in for him. I think it was I think he would have been an amazing player on the club. I love Salah. He's a great player, but yeah, I think if Salah didn't exist, that would have been a no-brainer. But he signed the contract now, and Arsenal have turned the corner. But I think there was a period there for a few months where there was an opportunity there. But look, we have the best right winger in Premier League history, so we're not going to complain.
Exactly. Mihai, with yourself, would you be in agreement with the statement that I made that the Trent performance today was very Steven Gerrard-esque of dragging a team that didn't deserve 3 points to 3 points?
Yeah, and I think speaking of unfair treatment towards Trent, I think it's so. What baffles me is that how many times people seem to call out his defensive mistakes. He has a poor game in defense, and then everyone just starts tweeting again how Trent is not a good defender. He's not a world-class defender. Whatever. You need to look at it. You need to look at the whole package. Yeah, what he offers going forward is just, for a right back, you don't see that anywhere else in the world. And I was looking at a few. Remember when we had when we were going for the quadruple season, I was looking at the stats, and he was like close to creating what KDB did for City. I'll never forget seeing that, and I was like thinking, wow, it like hit me for the first time, maybe seriously, how good he is as a creator for us. He's the best creator in our team, probably still, and he has been for the past few seasons. And again, when you look at the whole package that he is, I just don't get the slander. I get it. Maybe he's not the best right back defensively in the world, sure, but then you can't just take parts of the game that you want to look at and then slander a player for that, and then just ignore everything else that he has. I think I like the attitude, as Aaron said. I wouldn't say it was unfair last season to question his I don't know, behavior in court, stuff like that. At times, I felt it too. Like, shoulders are dropping. The way he acted was a bit not what I necessarily expected from him, but that's all gone now. This season, I feel he is acting like a true captain. I know he's only the vice captain, whatever, when Van Dijk is on the pitch, but still he is acting like a leader on the pitch, and that's what you like to see from him. And I think going forward, you can definitely see now that having him on the right hand side, he's offering us a lot more than just missing 1 or 2 tackles in defense.
Yeah, it's people like, similarly to everybody looking at Doku, say, "Oh, he dribbled past Trent so many times," and I'm like, "Yeah, because he went sideways."
Like, back in the midfield.
Yeah, he went backwards and he went sideways, and anytime he did go past, Trent defended him fantastically. He pushed him and used the sideline and his goal line, or the end line, as an extra defender, and like a basketball player, shepherded him into a corner where he could do nothing but attempt a shitey little cross. He created some chances, but they were all shite. And if you look at it from a grand contextual point of view, that's just the way that it is. And it is what it is. But God above, I'm going to need a nap. I'm going to get an Indian later with my girlfriend, and I'm just going to crust on the couch, and I'm going to absolutely just try and relax before I end up having to watch the 49ers play the Eagles later on. So that's going to be absolutely stressful for me. But Dan, I'll move on to yourself for that question as well, and I'll throw an extra caveat onto it. Could Trent become, as he's still only young, he still could play another 10 years for Liverpool, could Trent become our best right back and our second best midfielder to ever play with us?
That question, absolutely, yeah. Of course, because as long as he carries on in the same vein of fitness, which is the most important thing for any footballer, is availability. So many great footballers have had their careers robbed from them through injuries, and Trent, touching every piece of what I can find, is one of those players who hasn't suffered from that. Only little minor bits and pieces. Unbelievable talent, unbelievable player. Talking about the Gerrard thing, it must be absolutely all in the boots, because again, I put on Predators and I thought I was Steven Gerrard when I was 14. So to be fair, if I'm wearing the Liverpool shirt playing at Anfield, it's there for you. He is the scouser in our team. Sorry, Curtis Jones, I know you exist as well. However, he really is, and he's taken on this vice captaincy, and it's propelled him forward as a leader. He's learned from some of the best. One thing I would say for Jordan Henderson is he was a competent leader for us, and he was not the best player on the pitch, but was able to get some of the best players in the world to listen to him, and he's been able to listen to what he's been saying, and he does take that on his shoulders, and he took today's game on his shoulders. You know, he was the one who scored the opening goal. He was the confidence to sit there and say to Dominic Szoboszlai, "You can hit a free kick. No, I'm having this one," and listen, it's going in, and it did. And then coming up towards the end of that match, whenever we were looking to do something productive, when we were looking to it, he moved into that midfield. I'm all about moving Gomez to right back. I'd love to see that. I know it may come at an expense of having McAllister on the bench, but putting Gomez at right back, Trent into that midfield, it really is a true new animal that we have there. And it's hard work to say, is he the best right back? Because it kind of then gets split into two questions, doesn't it? Is that an old style right back is one who just defends and doesn't let anyone get past him, and gets the ball and then gives it to someone who can actually play football. Looking at you, Gary Neville. But then we look at the modern day right back. What are they asked to do? Well, they're asked to do a lot more. And I think that this conversation, I forget who said it, and it isn't myself. Who came up with this great idea, probably was Neville, is that a David Beckham would play it right back now, because that's where he wouldn't play. There isn't a right midfield position anymore. There's a front three or there's an 8, and you'd be neither, so you'd have to play as a wing back. And he's a wonderful player. He's growing, which you kind of think, how can he get better? And he somehow is. He had a poor season last season, and so did everybody. And I would put that down to just a mental sort of drain from going for a quad and then missing out the way that we did. And this season, we're back. I'm of the belief that when people were saying, I think we'll just be in a top 4 fight, I thought we'd comfortably be in the top 4. I didn't think it would be even a fight. So for me, I'm about looking that we should be in a title race. I've been saying it for a few weeks that we are in one, and we need to start believing we are. January's round the corner. We can make a couple of purchases, and who knows what happens, come March, April time, when the titles start getting decided.
Yeah, I think a 6 and a centre back, and we're winning the league personally. And City, after going up 2-1, Phil Foden just walked it into the net. Yep. Prick. Just the way I wouldn't mind. Couldn't have laid it off to Haaland, who was beside you. No, dickhead. But
we're completely unbiased.
Look, it is what it is. We look at some negatives, we look at some positives. The way I look at it is we came out of this with 3 points. We are currently 3rd in the league now. If the results with Man City and Spurs stay the same at the moment, God, Phil Foden has a punchable face. He really does. Do you know what? I'd love to have a debate with everybody on every Premier League team, like some streamer from every Premier League team, and argue about who is the most punchable face in the league. Because I'm pretty sure Bruno Fernandes would win by a landslide. By a landslide. He's Bernardo Silva off Wish. Like, that's what he looks like. And he's just a ratty little. I won't use that word. It's a Sunday. It's God's day. We have to be religious. We have to be good. We have to be PG. I won't say my thoughts on Bruno Fernandes. However, we're going to end it there, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. We have kind of calmed down a little bit after that, but unfortunately for me, I'm going to be going and entering into another stressful 3 hours worth of a game with watching the 49ers play later. Thank you guys so much for watching. From myself, from Dan, from Aaron, from Mihai, Jane as well. Thank you for your $9.99. As always, you are absolutely fantastic. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure all of your notifications are on for all future videos. And we will see you at 7:30 this evening for our late night stream. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a wonderful evening, and up the Reds.